All right, hello, and welcome back to another edition of Wednesday Night Magic. Tonight, we are going to be featuring the Pauper format throughout our field of wonderful speed-running Magic. I am joined with Skybills and Xwater tonight. How are you?
Doing pretty fantastic, Clifford. I'm really excited to see some Pauper action tonight. Sky, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well also. Pauper is something that we haven't seen for a little while on Arena, so I'm really excited to see some players return to it and see what they're made of.
Why don't you give us a quick description of what exactly Pauper is for anyone who might not know in the chat?
Alright, so Pauper is only you can use commons. That's it. You use common cards, and this way it kind of puts everybody onto a more level playing field, because sometimes those rares and mythic rares can be very difficult to obtain. So how do we level the playing field? We use Pauper.
You take out those rares, mythic rares, even the uncommons, get rid of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to be a interesting night because we'll be seeing a lot of Magic that you're not going to be used to seeing. You know, we have all these meta decks that stick around. Essentially, you know, they develop up until the new sets come out. Usually about like a month into a new set, the meta stays pretty consistent unless some big discovery is found. So Pauper's a great way to kind of see something fresh that you may not have seen when the sets are getting, you know, closer to being out for a really long time, when we're getting closer to those next sets coming out. So that's what has me really stoked about this, and it really gets a chance to show off the creativity of the players.
And speaking of the players, coming up first tonight, we have Technomagus versus Kaizen. I'm not sure what either of them are playing, but it should be a very, very fun matchup. Pretty even keel, like you said. You take out all the uncommons and rares, and everybody's on even common footing, common ground even.
I saw what you did there.
Very nice. What do you think are going to be some of the stronger colors for common?
Of some of the strongest colors I've seen in Pauper thus far, and what I saw back over the holiday season when we were all trying to earn those alternative art cards, amazing by the way, a lot of blue. Blue Hexproof in particular is some of the best that Pauper has to offer. One of the MVPs, if you can make it to 5 mana, is Soul of the Rapids. It is a 3/2 flying Hexproof, and once that hits the field in Pauper, it's very difficult to get rid of. Again, it is stated no uncommons. Eldest Reborn was one of the most common ways to get rid of a Hexproof creature, and if it wasn't Eldest Reborn, it would be Kaya's Wrath and Cleansing Nova, but again, we cannot use those. So now, these cards can very much shine in Pauper as a result.
Yeah, Hexproof is really dangerous in a format like Pauper because anything, the only really prominent form of removal would be something like a direct kill spell or some burn, and being Hexproof and flying, you just avoid so much of that.
Right, and I believe 4 times like this, we have Wraths. We have Eldest Reborn, which is sacrifice a creature, not very common in Pauper. And then there's even a rare in Magic right now. It's a land, and it removes Hexproof from a creature. Can't even use that because it's a rare. Yeah,
that's a good land, though.
Can't use it, though. So what do you do in that situation? I mean, you can't even target it with, like, negative counters because, again, it cannot be targeted.
I think your best chance is having a flying or reach-filled blocker at that point.
Right, and also life gain can also be somebody's best friend as well in that situation.
Yeah, strategies that might be a little like underpowered in standard metas are gonna shine a lot harder in tonight's matches. So starting off, it's looking like we have Mono Blue. Blue Advisor was the title of the deck, and that has me curious to see what we're going to be seeing. We're seeing, I think, Dimir from the other side from Kaizen.
Ooh, so I'm seeing a running theme here, Xwater. There is blue mana on both sides of the coin, so I'm going to wonder if we're going to see our all-star Soul of the Rapids as a result. Let's see what's going on. Oh,
yeah, so
okay. So
we have
do you know about this, by the way, the petitioners, Xwater? What do you know about them?
I know that you can have as many of them in your deck as you want, and this is a mill deck, right? The goal of this deck is to mill the opponent.
Absolutely. And the more petitioners there are in the field, the more it combos, and it's actually really quick to mill your opponent, because I believe once there's 4 out, the audience can sure be quick to correct me if that's the case. Once there's at least 4 out, it's pretty much all over. It's a very, very, very tough combo to get around. And this is one of the 2 combo decks in Pauper. The other one being the rats, because you can have as many rats, much like these petitioners. You can have as many of those in your deck as possible, so look out for these 2 combos in Pauper.
Yeah. So by tapping 4 of these advisors, you make your opponent mill 12 cards. And up until then, you can just use their 1 mana and tap ability to have them mill a single card. So yeah, once four advisors are out, we're going to be seeing a lot of trouble here for Kaizen Ma. Essentially, we'll be on a 4-turn clock at that point, I believe, with the cards he's already drawn.
Yes, that sounds about correct.
Yeah, 4 or 5. I didn't do the math, as our good friend LinkedIn likes to say. Math is for blockers, and I'm not blocking anything right now. So what do you think Dimir deck is going to be able to do about this? Mephetic Vapors, that's -2/-2 to all creatures, is it not?
Let me think for a second here. I cannot see. I'm so spoiled by Deckmaster, by the way, which is an application everybody should get. I want to say it's -1/-1, but I can take a quick look up at it to see what it is.
It is. You are correct. It is -1/-1 to all creatures, and these advisors have 3 toughness, so it's not going to be strong enough to get rid of them. That dead weight as well, another card that gives -2/-2, which isn't enough to kill these what are they? Advisors, petitioners, whatever they're called.
I just want to give them a funny name and stick to it, you know?
I know.
All right, so what is the what's gonna happen here for Technomagus? Block, no block? Pondering.
I was
sure.
expecting no block, yeah.
Yeah. So close at this point to the combo. And keep in mind, too, Technomagus is holding an Essence Scatter, so if anything super lethal comes down, there's that counter spell to get rid of it. So
yeah.
Surprised it didn't get used on the Whisper Agent here, but I think they're anticipating something way worse. You know, Black does like to have, and Blue for that matter, both can have flyers every now and then, so maybe that's what they're waiting for. This
slow burn of just 3, even milling 3 cards on the opponent per turn is still pretty darn ruthless for for this situation right now. Not gonna tap those petitioners either, so we can continue milling up until that next turn and keep doing that and doing it. And there we go. We have the Whisper Agent getting countered. Very good plays from both players there, saving that Whisper Agent for the flash play and having that counter ready. Still has enough mana over here to use 3 mills on the opponent, get them down just enough to hopefully only have a 3-turn clock once you have all 4 of those petitioners out there.
Yeah, and one thing Xwater too hinted at is don't let this board state fool you. While it does look bad for Technomagus right now, all it really does take is 1 more petitioner. So Technomagus just needs to hang in there.
I like this play right here with the 2 dead weights on 2 separate creatures, although it is a little risky. With the Mephetic Vapors, that'll be enough to effectively kill both of those enchanted petitioners. But there is 1 more counterspell sitting in Technomagus's hands, and if call me crazy, but I have a feeling that Technomagus is not going to allow 2 of those petitioners to go down from a Mephetic Vapors.
Unfortunately, though, I wish that was a negate in Technomagus's hand. Negate works on instants and sorceries. Essence Scatter can only counter creature spells, so that Mephetic Vapors might actually work. Or Syncopate, that's in Kaizen's hand as well, might have done the trick.
That's a good oversight from one of the commentators. Glad you're here to pick me right back up. That's a really good point. I'm excited to... Yeah, that'll turn the tide of this battle for sure. I don't think Technomagus will be able to make any sort of recovery if that happens.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for Technomagus to be in because Land Flood is, at least in my opinion, one of the key ways and really easy ways to lose a game of Magic. Everybody's susceptible to it regardless of rarity here, and we're even seeing it happen in Pauper here. But things are looking pretty good for Kaizen right now.
Yeah, Kaizen's definitely sitting really pretty right here. He's got a full hand of cards. Has enough mana to really do anything that he wants to do in his hand. Save for, actually no, he's got enough to play any of the cards right now.
Here's the issue with Kaizen's hand right now, though. There's not a lot of power in it. There's not much going on with it. And if this battle drags on any more than it already is, I mean, yes, there's 2 counter spells in hand, but if Kaizen lets their guard down and Technomagus keeps drawing petitioners, it's gonna be tough for Kaizen as well. But these lands again, the flood is here.
Yeah. 9 lands out of all the cards that he's drawn is just a mockery. Now I think these petitioner decks usually or sometimes use above 60 cards and just have a stupid amount of petitioners. But it could vary depending on how many petitioners you want to throw in or however you might feel like running the deck. But I know a lot of these petitioner decks do sometimes go above that 60 card limit just for the sake of, you don't want to get outmilled and you want to have as many petitioners as you can, but also a couple of counter spells and opts and stuff like that to be filtering through. Ooh.
Xwater, there's creatures in this matchup, right? I'm not seeing very many right now at all. And there's the petitioners, while Kaizen's counter spells cannot be used because the mana is tapped.
Yeah.
Good opening there for Technomagus. Very fortunate for Technomagus. Now, I would like to see, unfortunately, because we don't have access to the interface, I want to know how many cards are left in Kaizen's deck.
I think it's somewhere in the realm of between 25 and 30. Last time it did show in the UI, I saw somewhere in, I think I saw 30, and that was a few turns ago. So I think there's been a couple of mills, couple of draws. So we're definitely around the 25 range.
Anybody else keeping count? Looks like chat says 23. Good eye, chat. Thank you. More than one, and Technomagus is just like, nah, I'm not dealing with counter spells. So I was talking about this with my coach earlier this week. Counter spells playing against blue, in particular, we see this in standard with Esper. It really can get into your mind sometimes because you start getting spell after spell countered and you're thinking, what can I play? And it just makes you eventually want to concede. That's how powerful blue is. And it's a common thing that the most powerful card in Magic is an island.
The most powerful card is, I mean, that statement has a stark amount of truth to it.
All right, so game 2 here. I have mixed feelings about this hand. The good news is for Technomagus is we have some counter, we have some draw. There's a lot of counter, actually. Essence Scatter, Negate, Thought Collapse, Opt, which could turn into a counter. Although I'm sure Techno wants it to turn into another creature. You want one this early.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can't help but wonder, why did Kaizen keep all of the Moment of Cravings in the deck? Technomagus' win condition is not life loss by any means. And the Moment of Craving only does -2, -2. So I wonder if Kaizen had a side deck at all, because those seem like cards that would stand out to me as things you'd want to side out for maybe creatures in this case. And that's what black and blue, and even white if you're running Esper, does best, is you side in creatures in the side deck. That was something I was thinking about as we were looking at Technomagus' side deck.
Yeah, that one Whisper Agent was able to get through last game, but that was the only real creature that we had available, other than the one that got countered. But it's going to take a little bit more energy than that, a little bit more manpower to get through Technomagus this time, especially with a hand like that.
Oh, okay. So Azrael Ravenheart, thank you very much. You're right. There is no sideboard allowed as it is against the Spirit of Pauper. That makes sense. But if you were to side with Pauper, let's say if, hypothetically, you would want to take out in this specific matchup the Moment of Cravings. Very unfortunate then if that's the case for Kaizen, that's what was drawn. All right, let's see what's going on here right now. Devious cover-up. Ooh, and the negate to the Devious cover-up.
Ooh.
Good counter there by Technomagus. Not only did the spell get countered, but none of the other cards from the graveyard, from Kaizen's graveyard, could go back into the deck. Great play there. Devious cover-up is one of the most deadly counter spells in Pauper for that reason. All right, there's that deadweight again that Xwater was talking about earlier to set up the Mythic Waivers. So, good play there. Good setup. All right, so Secrets of the Golden City. Going to draw some cards here. No City's Blessing.
That
So,
card
like-
was awesome to use during drafting for the Ixalan set. That one was a fun one. Oh, but it's countered. Oh, but it's countered. We got a counter yeehaw right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Xwater loves the counter chain.
Oh, nothing gets me more excited than a counter. All right, so I'm thinking even using one of these moments of craving alongside, or two of these moments of craving alongside with this Mephetic Vapors could be a good use in killing a couple of these petitioners. That being said, not enough mana to use more than one of them after using the Vapors.
Yeah, this is still a great play for Kaizen though, because remember, there's Surveil. Surveil's a great mechanic, even in the Pauper, and then the life gain there. But again, I don't think life gain counts much in this match. Ooh, and I'm looking at a theme again here, Xwater. The Flood is back for Technomagus.
Yeah. It seems suspicious that it's happening as often as it is. There's so many lands and so few petitioners.
You can't help but wonder how many lands the deck is running. I mean, if you're running a pure petitioners deck, and remember, you can have as many of those in your deck as you want to, you'd think you would be trying to run low-cost things. I say that as I see the Devious cover-up in hand here.
Yep. And that second one is not going to go through. Going to save that petitioner, effectively wasting 2 cards here for the opponent, which are... I gotta love it.
I'm getting the strong inclination here that Xwater loves blue in Magic.
I'm a big fan of blue. It's not I like Azorius. I'm an Azorius kind of guy. I like my lawful, but also they have swords and shields and counter spells.
Also, yes,
a good mix
absolutely.
of the 3. Yeah.
I know this whole matchup is just... It's too controlly. It's Mill versus straight control here, and as an aggro player, this is a tough one to see.
Oh, this is what I live for. I love this. Trying so hard to keep those petitioners down. Kaizen just needs some kind of creature that can go to the face. But even then, Essence Scatter is sitting there ready. That does hit creatures, correct?
Absolutely, yes. So
Okay,
Syncopate can hit anything.
There's Thought Collapse as well.
Ooh, you can see
another counter spell.
Another counter chain incoming. It makes me so happy to see Xwater enjoy the counter. So here we go again, Xwater. I think we might... Nope, not enough to pay for Syncopate. So Syncopate's the next spell. You need enough to be able to pay to counter the spell in that case. And Kaizen did not have enough mana left. Very unfortunate in that case.
Yeah, Syncopate is essentially the X cost has to be the CMC of the mana of the spell you're countering.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And we might have for a second saw something that resembled aggro on the field, but Technomagus is like, no, you got to go at my pace here.
But there we have another Whisper Agent, which we'll probably see come out soon, and we'll probably continue to see countered shortly after. The question is, will there be enough mana to syncopate the counter spell that comes down? Oh, the Essence Scatter on the Persistent Petitioner, and the Thought Collapse. We've got another double counter chain here, ladies and gentlemen. That is 2, or is it even 3 double counters this game?
Wait, they let it go? They let it go. Okay, this really makes you think and face emoji here, Xwater.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
To potentially counter an Essence Scatter. Oh no, it doesn't have enough mana to counter an Essence Scatter at this point. Oh, and that Surveil doing actually... I don't know if I like the Surveil for Kaizen right now, specifically because his deck is getting really low on cards, and every time he surveils and puts something into the graveyard, he's just speeding up his potential demise. You've got 2 petitioners on the board right now that are going to be milling you 2 per turn.
Do you remember what I told you about blue and hexproof and Pauper? Here it is right here, Xwater. Cold
that is
Water
a good
Snapper.
Card. Yeah.
Beautiful.
4/5, that's a lot of damage that's going to be coming through. And he's not going to want to lose those petitioners. This is essentially going to be a clock if we're going to get that mill before Technomagus dies, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That turtle is not going anywhere. I guarantee it.
And Kaizen waiting on the stack block to play Fungal Infection. Still nothing yet. But I knew we were going to see blue and hexproof. It's so good in Pauper right now in the current standard, we'll call it standard Pauper format. Cold Water Snapper. But I haven't seen still the card that I'm very much fond of, which is Soul of the Rapids yet. I'm disappointed. All this blue floating around. I guess I can excuse the Petitioner's deck, but for Kaizen's deck, where is Soul of the Rapids? It is a fantastic card, and you can't go wrong with the flying.
I like that Fungal Infection right there.
Yep, that's exactly what was going to happen. The stack block and the Fungal Infection.
Yep.
I definitely saw that coming.
Oh, yeah.
Another Petitioners, but I want to say it possibly is too little too late here for Technomegas. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this looks like game to me as well. We have, definitely enough damage on the board to at least set up for a next turn kill. Gonna force a couple blocks here. The 1/1 obviously is nothing that dangerous. Instead, gonna go for the double block on the Whisper.
Yeah.
Saving up whatever Technomagus draws next turn has to be worth it.
And it's possible, depending on what's drawn here. Now, City's Blessing, there will be 3. Oh, wait a second, though. There's Syncopate.
Oh, not going to let that that Secret of the Golden City go down. No, that would be a bad move. With the card advantage that Kaizenma has.
I actually think Technomagas can pay for it.
Oh, we got an 8. We got an 8 mana cost Syncopate right there.
They can pay the 8? Oh my goodness.
They can,
wow.
But they're not going to have a whole lot of mana to work with whatever they draw. That's hilarious.
But smart. Very smart.
You know, 4 mana is a lot to work with. I take it back. Okay, so we have 2 Petitioners right there.
Oh my goodness.
Very interesting. Oh, so that turtle can be slowed down essentially. Only plays 1 Petitioner. Interesting.
Maybe for the opt, they want to see what the options are.
Yeah,
oh gosh, that was a
sense.
horrible pun. Bad pun. I'm sorry, folks. I'm
For the options.
Oh,
Deadweight
no.
is definitely coming down after this combat, getting rid of one of those Petitioners. The other Petitioner, I should say.
Yeah.
Yep, and there it is. The opt coming down, hoping to draw another Petitioner. Getting 2 on the board. Honestly, why not? Hang on to every last ditch effort that you can at this point of your Technomagus. That deck, I can't see the number, but I can see that stack looks tiny. 6 in there. 6.
Oh.
I don't think we're seeing. I don't think we're gonna see Technomagus last enough turns unless we get some god draws right now. Another Petitioner.
With every Petitioner, now here's what Technomagus wants to do if they want to survive. At the end of the turn, so here's what happens. The Snapper attacks, then you block, and then you activate the ability as they're blocking. Oh no! Dang it.
Wait, I guess it technically doesn't matter which one you block with. Oh, we drew another Petitioner. That's another turn that this turtle has to bash in with, and depending on these draws, we're going to be down to 3 cards, going down to 2 for the next one. Artful Takedown exists, though, and that is going to be what can potentially seal the deal for this game.
It will, right here, because it will tap one and it'll kill the other, and that'll give Cold Water Snapper. Great card
That's
for
right,
Kaizen.
it does both.
Good
GG.
game. Wow,
we
GG.
thought, what was that, down to 3 cards there? Oh
3
my lord.
cards. Wow.
That was crazy.
If that Artful Takedown would have been milled instead of played, ooh.
That was a really well played game by both players, though. It was cool to see the Petitioner deck. That was really enjoyable. And I think the Dimir deck would have been a lot. I think it would have been a lot more interesting to see against another deck, possibly. But overall, that was still really cool.
That was a great match to kick off the evening. And I know while Kaizen did win 2-0, that's one for Team Top tonight, by the way. Ha ha ha! From last week.
Team Top, taking it back.
That second match was a lot closer than it looked. I feel sad that didn't go to game 3, just to see what would have happened.
I very much agree. That was an excellent game there. I love seeing the Petitioners deck. It's fun to watch and play against, especially when you get all the interaction, like you did. Coming up next, we're going to have Uncle Drake versus Frico.
Weren't those both winners in last week's Wednesday Night Magic?
Yeah, those are two very familiar names at the very least.
I know they both played last week. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have my notes on who won here on my desk handy, so I can't tell you that. I'm sorry. But I know they both did play, and we're here last week doing standard stuff, and they're back again this week. The first game was 2 newcomers to the stage, so that's pretty cool.
I'm still sad because no Soul of the Rapids. That's my comment, but still, nonetheless, great match. All right, so do we know what types of decks both players are playing here going into this?
I do not, but we'll find out very shortly, I'm sure, as it looks like we're getting
shall
started.
unveil itself momentarily. Ooh, we've got a nice Selesnya deck over here. I like Selesnya for Pauper. I think that's a good call, especially with the lifelink in there.
If you're not going to go with blue something flyers or the rats or the petitioners, Selesnya life gain is definitely a good way to go.
Excited to see what Uncle Drake is working with. I think we're seeing
Golgari.
Ooh, Golgari. Okay, I think Golgari has a bit more power in Pauper than Selesnya might. Maybe I'm just a little biased towards Golgari. I always find that the graveyard play that can go down with these Undergrowth cards can just be a little bit intense in long-running games, which Pauper tends to be. That being said, I don't want to count the Selesnya out just yet.
Yeah, the only issue I'm seeing right now for Uncle Drake, decent hand on the whole. It's a little slow considering the acceleration that Frico has in the opening hand.
Yeah, with the Convoke creature and essentially options every turn to be ready to play it, that Centaur is coming out sooner rather than later, and it's going to be a threat. But now we have one Llanowar Elf on the field for Uncle Drake, which is going to help catch him up on the mana, being a little bit behind on the mana situation.
Yeah, and I noticed the Saproling migration to go with the Convoke creature, so you can't help but wonder if that Siege Worm that's currently on Uncle Drake's hand is probably in Frico's deck as well, which works fantastic considering the fact that Frico has a lot of Convoke going on.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and lucky enough, Uncle Drake does get another land. Gonna want to be getting a few more of those bad boys.
Also, it looks like there's potential. I haven't seen Uncle Drake's entire deck yet, but this looks like this could potentially be a almost like a Saproling type of tribal deck. And tribal decks have always been very popular and very powerful in numerous formats.
Lol.
Oh, that's terrible.
Ha ha ha. I don't even feel bad about it.
And there's the Siege Worm for Frico. I knew it. I knew it had to be in that deck. That's exciting.
Check the logs, ladies and gentlemen. She called it. All right, we have the Centaur coming down. Convoke and 4/4 with Vigilance. Honestly, that is a truck. That is nothing but a big, bad, beefy truck right there. And we're going to go ahead and block with the Deathbloom Thaliad, get the Saproling. We have, what, 6? Oh! We've got another mana, enough to play the Siege Worm over here for Uncle Drake.
Now, here's my thought from the previous turn before we depart too far from it. Why not swing with the one creature you're going to swing first and then put the Centaur on the field? You don't want to give your opponent that much information that early on in the turn. If you're going to play a creature without haste, or if you're not going to convoke it, you play it during main phase 2. So just something to think about when you're playing your Magic games.
Yeah, like this one right here only tapped. Well, I guess this one particularly doesn't matter just because there was no attack phase for Frico, but it is good to build that muscle memory of only moving and acting in main phase 2 unless otherwise necessary to act in main phase 1. Always take your actions after your combat to make sure that your opponent doesn't know what's in your hand. You could have combat tricks. There's no way for them to understand what threats are on the board or in the hand.
Right, and again, right here with the Siege Worm as well. You could have, let's say theoretically that Siege Worm was not on Uncle Drake's side of the field. You attack with the one Centaur first, and then you drop the Siege Worm, because again, knowledge is power in this game.
Knowledge is power. That is true, though. I don't know why I had to say it like that, but it is 100% true. This is a beefy Golgari board over here. We have, what is that, 8 creatures on the field? That's a lot of creatures. The dead weight going down on the other Siege Worm as well. Opting to, take that worm down a little bit in strength instead of doing, that's a lot of Saprolings for the Selesnya.
It looks like we have a good old-fashioned stalemate board state on our hands here. Although the Costly Plunder will help Uncle Drake draw cards. Great synergy here to go with the 1/1 Saprolings that Uncle Drake cannot use right now. So good job on that.
And we're going to get another Death Bloom, which a great card, gets another token after death. And with that 3 power on it, a viable blocker for the weakened Siege Worm. Right as I say it. All right, let's go, other Siege Worm.
Here's where else. Now, we don't know what's in Frico's deck right now, but I believe there's not a lot of removal in these 2 colors. You have Prey Upon, you have Rabid Bite, maybe you have a couple of the prison type spells in there, but I don't know if Frico's deck is banking on going against something like Golgari, where the wall just might be too big. Now, we have a Knight's Pledge here. That's really interesting.
I like that.
Maybe Knight's Pledge to the Siege Worm since it has Trample? Or going to give it to the Centaur with Vigilance.
A 6/6 Vigilance. I can't see a situation where the Death Bloom doesn't block with other, like maybe one Saproling and one of the far left 2/2 creatures. I don't think that Centaur is going to get a good trade if it attacks.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I don't know how this board state settles. I think it settles with Uncle Drake's black removal. Like, that has to be the only way this kind of goes out, because
neither player wants to attack into the other right now. They both have a really good defensive line, and if anything on Uncle Drake's board attacks, the Centaur takes it down, right? That's just going to be a darn shame. The Fungal Infection, on the other hand, is a great little trick that'll be, we can have thrown down at some point.
If I'm Frico right now, I consider at this point swinging with the Centaur